Welcome to this podcast series titled Legacy Beyond Wealth, where we'll learn more about Richard and Eva. After years of building their family business and wealth, they face some tough questions. How can they distribute their assets? How do they protect their legacy? And most importantly, how do they keep family harmony among their children? In this series, get a sneak peek into real conversations between clients and their advisor at Providend, and learn how thoughtful legacy planning brings peace of mind and protects what matters most to our clients and their families. Seated in their living room, adorned with family portraits and souvenirs from yearly family trips, Richard 59 and Eva 57 are seated together, looking through binders of financial documents, their expressions thoughtful.
Wow, look at all these documents. Eva, we have worked so hard to build this life. And we've talked about this quite a few times, What happens when we are gone? I want to make sure our kids are protected, and I obviously want the business to also keep thriving, right? But all these are really too overwhelming.
Yeah, looking at all these documents, how did we have so much stuff? Financial documents. And, from what you just shared, I think I also want our legacy to be passed on, with love and in a responsible way. And I definitely do not want, our kids to fight, over what we are going to give them. Last week, my friend mentioned that she has been going to Providend for the last 15 years. Maybe we can reach out to them and see what they can do.
After reaching out to Providend, Richard and Eva are meeting Chris, a client advisor, for the first time. Chris greets the couple with a welcoming smile. After a short tour of the office, Chris leads them to a cozy meeting room to discuss on their situation.
Hi Richard, hi Eva. Thank you so much for coming. Please take a seat. Did both of you find this place difficult to find?
No, I think this is a really good location. Yeah, we actually had a quick meal around this area before we came to the office.
Yeah, this place, the good thing about this place that we like, right, the Duxton area is that, besides the fact that it is pretty quaint, we have plenty of good food. You can find, the food that we eat every day, but also expensive restaurants, like if you want to wine and dine with your friends. So I'm glad that you found us because some people find that it's not easy to find parking, but both of you are here. Maybe as a start, tell me, how did you hear about Providend?
So I have a friend, Chris, and she told me that she has been coming to Providend for the last 15 years.
Oh.
Yeah, so I thought that, why don't we reach out and see whether Providend can help us.
I see. Well, I'm very grateful for this client of ours, and later on maybe I should find out who she is, and if you don't mind, I'll just send her a text or give her a call just to thank her for referring you to us. Well, once again, thank you very much for coming. Maybe both of you can start by sharing, why you are coming to us, some of the concerns that you have. That'll be a good start.
Richard and Eva look at each other lovingly and smile.
Actually, Eva and I had many discussions, in recent years. We are actually quite close to our ideal retirement age. And of course, at our age now, we are also thinking very much about our inevitable death. And I think what really concerns us is there's a certain legacy that we want to leave behind. And we are really quite concerned about how we can leave a good legacy, to our loved ones. In terms of our own values, we've actually worked very hard in the past and really focused on providing the best for our children. And in the past 15 years especially, I've put in a lot of effort in building our family business to where it is today. So in the latest evaluation I did, this valuation exercise placed my business as a $30 million business. And actually, I really want to pass down the business to one of my children and hope that they can, whoever that gets it can lead the company well and with the same values as me. I would really be very sad if this business crumbles, if I'm gone.
Eva reaches out and places her hand on Richard's. She squeezes it gently.
Yeah, and Chris, just to add to that, so what Richard just shared is about the business, right? But actually, personally, we have accumulated about 25 million. So this is our personal assets. And on top of that, we have 2 properties that's worth about 13 million. Yeah, so we know that for our loved ones' sake, we want to have a plan to actually distribute our assets properly so that they don't have to deal with a mess. And I've heard so many horror stories, right? This is in the media, even through friends, how siblings can fight over a house. And I never want to see that happening to our own children.
Eva's face squinted with fear. Richard places his hand on her shoulder and calms her with soft pats.
Thanks so much for sharing. I mean, I can definitely see your concerns. I can't say that I fully understand how you feel, but I know how you feel because as someone who also runs a firm, I can see your concerns. I mean, you have worked really, really hard. This is your baby. The business is your baby. I don't think it's just about the valuation, right, Richard? I mean, the valuation is just a representation of your success. But I think it represents your hard work. It's your baby, and you want to make sure that when you are no longer around to run it, someone will run it properly. And not just to pass down the business asset as an asset, but also to take care of your customers, also to take care of your staff. It's a legacy that you want to leave behind. I mean, I can also understand, Eva, what you have shared. It's good to have wealth. It's good to have plenty of assets. But then if we don't leave behind properly, that asset can become a liability, right? It can break families, and I know what you feel. I mean, we definitely don't want that, and you want to do this properly. So thank you very much for sharing with me. But maybe if I may ask, tell me a bit about your children, right? How many do you have, and at what stage of life they are at? Just to help me understand them a bit better, so that subsequently, if you do engage us and we do up your legacy plan, the plan is not just theoretical, but it takes into consideration the children you have, the stage of life, your specific concerns for them.
So, Chris, we have 3 kids. David, he's 31. And our middle child is Mary, she's 27. And the youngest is Lincoln, he's 24. So David is married to Jane, she's 28. And they have a 5-year-old son, Ian. So we normally see Ian once a week on the weekends.
Yeah, but his mother is a different story.
Don't say that.
Eva hits Richard on his arm and gives him a soft frown.
I mean, I have to say it, right? Because what I'm concerned about is, Jane, when I see the way she handles money, right, it doesn't give me a peace of mind.
So Chris, I think I need to give you some context. As you can see, that my husband and Jane don't really get along. The main thing is that he doesn't like how she spends her money. And basically, she buys a lot of material stuff. So you can imagine shoes, bags, and also the fact that, they got married really fast.
Yeah, thanks for giving me that context. I think that's very important. I mean, don't feel bad. I mean, I appreciate the fact that both of you are so transparent, because it allows me to see some of the concerns and some of the, family dynamics. And so, yeah, please just share freely. I just want to assure you that whatever you have shared with us, it'll be kept to the strictest confidence. Don't worry, we are not going to, use this as a case study, tell people, and all that. It's really for me to understand your family. Yeah, so please feel free to share whatever concerns that both of you might have.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So I think this is just one area that I wanted to highlight. I think we have, for me and Eva, we have both seen Jane be quite, that's a splurge on material stuff. So ideally, I would prefer if there's a way where we know that Jane won't have access to some of the money that we might be leaving behind. I mean, as a family, we travel a lot, and over the years, actually, I've seen that David actually enjoys traveling, really enjoys traveling a lot, right? And one of the things that I'm thinking about leaving behind is actually to leave a sum of money behind such that he can fund these kind of trips for him to continue exploring the world, right? But looking at how Jane behaves, I'm a bit concerned there. And I also want to understand if it's possible, right, to set things up such that that the money is really more for David and not so much for Jane.
Hi listener, we hope you are enjoying this episode and podcast series so far. At Providend, we have been sharing our thought leadership content through various mediums beyond just this podcast. If you are interested in knowing more, check out the link in the show note to subscribe to our newsletter today. Thank you, and let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for sharing. I just want to, again assure both of you all that your concerns are really valid. So don't feel bad about it. I mean, as parents, we always want to protect our children, right? So your concerns are really valid. And yes, there are options. There are legal structures that can be set up to protect your grandson, to protect your son. But of course, legal structures, they are cold. It's easy to set up legal structure, but the problem is that unfortunately, when we set it up, they do communicate a certain message. And we have to talk a bit more, to make sure that while we set up these structures, they really communicate correctly how you feel. They communicate the values that you want to leave behind. They communicate, these structures communicate the love for your children. I'm sure both of you love Jane, right? And you want to make sure as well, in some ways, she's probably taken care of, but yet I know there are concerns about the way she manages her money, right? So we can talk more about that when we go into more discussions. But how about Mary and Lincoln? Tell me more about them. What other concerns or what concerns you have for these two children?
Maybe I'll go first. When we think about Mary, well, actually, of the three children, right, I feel that it's probably David and Mary who are more suitable, right, to be able to helm the family business.
Eva looks at Richard. Her tone is firm.
But that's only if, they are interested to take over, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely always in a way, the priority. Ideally, ideally, the interested one, if any one of them sound off to me, I would, hand it over without hesitation. But the current situation is such that, no one has really raised their hands yet. Right, Mary actually, she's been working in a company for 3 years now, and she's pretty familiar with the business. But David is actually working in a job outside on his own. But the job that he's in and the skill sets that he has is actually very much transferable. And ideally, I would also want him to participate in the business in the future. Okay, but the thing is, again, we've not made up my mind. None of them has actually stepped forward as well, and I actually don't know how to don't know how to actually start. Setting up a plan to see who is better, whether I should groom them. So these are some of the areas that I don't really. I know that it's a problem, but I don't really have any answers to at the moment. And above it all, I think my biggest worry now is also that if I pass away unexpectedly or something happens to me unexpectedly such that I can't run the business, then what's going to happen, right? Because I know that without me, the business will surely struggle, right? And there's also a chance that, given that Mary and David are suitable, who knows? They may fight over who's to take over, and then there's going to be other problems as well, right? And again, in a case of emergency, if they have to sell the business, right, then and if they have to sell it urgently, then it might be undervalued, right? And then this is again back to my heartache, right? That all the work that we have put in might just go down the drain, and even worse still, if the family falls apart, that would be even even sadder. And just to let you know, we actually have also built, or rather we have purchased a US $1 million life insurance policy to sort of mitigate this and provide some form of liquidity to tide them over should the business need some form of liquidity, right, in a short run for such an event. But beyond that money, I'm more concerned about, what are the long-term impacts to the business.
Yeah, Richard, I really just want to acknowledge you because I think you are really thinking about all the right things. Not many business owners, we think about those things. Sometimes we think we'll live forever. And sometimes we think that we will never exit from the business, right? We will work and work and work, we will never retire. But the fact is that we all exit from the business, either due to death, due to a medical condition, or due to retirement. We do exit, right? And when we exit and we don't plan properly, all those things that you have brought up just now, they are very real. No successor, children fighting over who should be running the business, management get discouraged, they leave, and you're unlikely going to fetch a very good price, even if the business was to be sold, right? Because if nobody is running the business, the purchaser or the buyer will definitely press the price down. And the valuation that you talked about just now, 30 million, it's in our head, but it may not be realized. So I really just want to acknowledge you that you are thinking about all the right things. Just out of curiosity, have you ever spoken to David and Mary at all?
No, actually, I found it quite difficult to raise the subject.
Okay.
At least at the current moment.
Okay. Well, I think that's one area we can work towards. Maybe we can work towards facilitating a family discussion with David and Mary. But how about Lincoln? Do you think he is interested to take over?
Eva and Richard chuckles lightly.
Oh, no one is least interested than him, right? So this boy is all set on being a teacher.
It's a good thing, isn't it?
I mean,
it's a noble career.
Yeah, he's been talking about it since he was a little boy, and I think he's really set his mind on being a teacher. However,
Eva's expression heavied.
If either David or Mary takes over the company and we set up something for Ian, the education fund that I mentioned earlier, my concern is then, will Lincoln feel that it's really unfair? You know that money doesn't show all the love we have for each other. I mean, it's not a reflection of what we think of them. But if our assets are not distributed fairly, then that could cause some conflict or even resentment among them.
Yeah, I think, in thinking about all of this, I think the top priority, of course, is that we still want to preserve our family harmony, right? And ideally also the health of the business going forward. I won't be surprised if there are minor conflicts between siblings and their spouses and all that, but I also just want to make sure that it is not money that causes the conflicts or the arguments, right? Ultimately, to us, the wealth that we have built up is meant to enable our lives. It has done so for so many years, and we want it to continue to enable their lives and not sort of be the source of conflict or arguments, for them going forward.
And I think that, our wealth, just apart from providing for our children, I think that if there's sufficient amount, we can also provide for our future grandchildren. Yeah, so that's really, basically what we want is that we want our family to know how much we love them and how much we care for them.
Yeah, thanks for the discussion so far. Congratulations for building such a successful business, and also you have accumulated sizable wealth all these years. I think that's something that I want to again acknowledge both of you for. I can hear your concern. It's not just estate planning, because in estate planning it's just about distributing your assets to your children. But I hear a lot about preserving family harmony. I hear a lot about both of you wanting to communicate your love for your children, and you want to be as fair as possible. And although both of you have shared so authentically about your concerns for Jane and the way she's spending her money, I do know deep down you love your daughter-in-law, right? She's the mother of your grandchild after all. As much as you want to protect the assets for your children, I'm sure you want to communicate to Jane that you treat her like part of the family as well. So I hear all of that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take back whatever you have shared with me and put together a very high-level plan, right? And then I'll come back and discuss with all of you about what we can do to be able to achieve all those things that you said you hope to achieve, to be able to mitigate some of the risks and to be able to address all these concerns that you have. But I just want to assure you that this is not it, if you go back and you realize that there are other things that you have not brought up to my attention, there are some concerns that you want to share, there will always be time, right? The next time when we meet, please share with me. We can surely tweak the plan before we go and set them all up, right? So feel free, go back, discuss some more, think about it, come back, we can discuss a bit more. This is ultimately your plan. And throughout this whole process that we'll be journeying with each other, I just want to assure you that the goal is to arrive at a legacy plan that will address all your concerns and help you achieve that peace of mind.
Richard and Eva stands up to shake Chris's hand, their smile beaming with hope and reassurance that they have found a trusted advisor who not just listens but understands them. All analysis, views, or opinions from interviews, recommendations, and other information broadcasted, podcasted, or published herein are provided for general information purposes only. Information expressed does not take into account any specific situation, particular needs, or objectives, and should not be construed as specific advice or a recommendation. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Providend Limited does not accept any liability for any loss whatsoever arising from any use of the information broadcasted, podcasted, or published herein. All contents and information contained herein may not be copied or reproduced in whole or in part by any means without prior consent of Providend Limited.